Rebekah Vardy. What is her problem? Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Rebekah Vardy is someone that a number of you will be asking, who? Others of you will be rolling your eyes, realising that you have had the misfortune to know who Rebekah Vardy is, purely because she married a footballer, and then has spent her time becoming a media celebrity, which means she has no appreciable ability or talent other than to piggyback off someone else, to ultimately become famous for being famous. Sounds a little bit like somebody else who frequently appears on my channel. Some of you may be aware that Rebekah Vardy is currently offering her opinions to the Sun newspaper about her nemesis Colleen Rooney, another footballer's wife, albeit one who has then actually gone on to achieve things in her own right, admittedly given the boost by virtue of her marriage to Wayne Rooney, but one cannot be lumped in the same parasitic category as Rebekah Vardy. And it is her ongoing feud with Colleen Rooney who may well have brought her to your attention. Numerous people have commented about the apparent obsession that Rebekah Vardy has with Colleen Rooney, her repeated need to talk about Colleen Rooney, and to do so, usually, in negative terms, which has then led people to ask this: Rebekah Vardy, what is her problem? Well, I'm going to examine Rebekah Vardy to find the answer to that question. Rebekah Vardy was born in Norwich and claims she was abused as a child and made homeless at 15. This claim of childhood abuse may well amount to a lack of control environment, one of the prerequisites to the creation of a narcissist. Now, not everybody who has suffered an unpleasant and abusive childhood becomes a narcissist, but that lack of control environment created by abuse is something that is found in the formation of a narcissist. In her 2023 Channel 4 documentary, Rebekah Vardy, Jehovah's Witnesses and Me, Vardy claimed that the abuse had been covered up by leaders of the Jehovah's Witnesses community, of which she was a member. She alleges that she was sexually abused between the ages of 11 and 15. She made the claims as part of a new Channel 4 documentary set to air recently. Now, if the abuse had taken place at those ages, that is generally beyond the age at which lack of control has an impact upon the creation of a narcissist. Therefore, that might mean that she has not experienced a lack of control environment, or, alternatively, it might be, as is often the case, that some individuals claim to have been abused when that has not taken place. Now, I have no evidence to suggest that that is the case with Rebekah Vardy, but I mention it as it is a pertinent factor with regard to matters of the consideration of the behaviour of a potential narcissist. Vardy claimed the alleged abuse was covered up by elders, senior male leaders within the religious group. In a statement, Jehovah's Witnesses said they lacked any information to comment on individual cases. Mrs. Vardy, who grew up as a Jehovah's Witness, says she hopes by speaking about her experiences that she will be able to show others there is a light at the end of the tunnel. She will be seen making the accusation as part of a Channel 4 documentary. Speaking to ITV's Good Morning Britain about the documentary, she said she was scared of the consequences of speaking about sexual abuse due to the fear of bringing shame onto the family. I found this part of my life a bit of an obstacle, but I wanted to use this obstacle to create an opportunity to help other people that have been in similar situations and just hopefully show that there's light at the end of the tunnel, she told the programme. I think I realised that I've probably only just scratched the surface. I think my story isn't unique, and there's going to be plenty of others, as have already come out, that will continue to come out. Thus, it may well be the case that she has experienced abuse, and, because of emotional empathy wants to not only seek justice as a consequence of what has happened to her, but to speak out about it for the purposes of helping others. Alternatively, it might be an instance of using something that may or may not have happened in her past as a means of garnering sympathy. You will notice that there's a recurring theme about Mrs. Vardy's behaviour, which is she spends an awful lot of time telling the world about what she does and what she thinks, either by going to the media or by sharing it on social media. Such a behaviour is narcissistic, but doesn't demonstrate that she's necessarily a narcissist. This behaviour of showcasing exhibits a lack of boundary recognition with regard to the need to overshare information about herself. When she was asked about the long-term psychological effects of what had happened to her, she said, "I've created part of myself that is really strong now. I have a lot of barriers. I'm quite unemotional. I'm not a very emotional person. I think a lot of that has to do with what I went through in my past. It was an obstacle in my life, and I want to use my experiences to help other people." Her parents, Carlos and Alison, divorced when she was 11. That suggests that there was not the most stable of home environments, and it may well be that that created a lack of control environment when she was younger. She moved from city to city, living in Norwich, Reading and Oxford. Her father, Carlos Miranda, was born in Madeira, making her half Portuguese. At 17, Vardy met electrician Mark Godden, and later married him in Mexico. It would appear that the marriage was rather quick, and it is often the case that a narcissist will look to marry someone promptly in order to bring them under control as the intimate partner primary source. Again, of itself, it doesn't make somebody a narcissist, but it is an indicator. In 2014, whilst working as a nightclub promoter, she organised footballer Jamie Vardy's 27th birthday party. She fell pregnant 3 months later with their first child. Again, having a swift pregnancy is an indicator of the behaviour of a narcissist to ensnare somebody by either getting them pregnant very quickly or falling pregnant very quickly. Again, it's important to point out that behaviour in itself does not mean that somebody is a narcissist. There are plenty of people that get somebody pregnant or fall pregnant at an early juncture who aren't narcissists. But it is a form of manipulation that is used by narcissists because the impregnation of that individual is an effective way of achieving control. I talk about the ins and outs of all of that in a separate video about impregnation and why narcissists get pregnant or get other people pregnant promptly. She married Jamie Vardy in 2016. She has 6 children. A daughter born in 2005, a son born in 2010 who was fathered by Luke Foster, a daughter born in 2014, a son born in 2017, and a daughter born in 2019. The 3 latter children are those of her relationship with Jamie Vardy. The fact that she has had children with a number of different fathers tends to suggest a habit of forming a relationship rather quickly and having children rather promptly without necessarily those relationships being stable. Again, this is an indicator of the behaviour of a narcissist, keen to forge a relationship very quickly, fall pregnant very quickly, only for the relationship not to endure. In November 2017, Vardy was a contestant on the 17th series of the ITV reality TV show, I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. She was the 3rd celebrity to be eliminated. She has made multiple appearances as a guest panellist and presenter on Loose Women. She has also appeared on Good Morning Britain, Jeremy Vine, and This Morning. In 2019, she appeared in 2 episodes of Celebrity Gogglebox alongside her husband, and an episode of How to Spend It Well at Christmas in 2019 alongside her family. In September 2020, it was announced that she would be competing in the 13th series of Dancing on Ice in 2021. She was eliminated in week 6. She is not someone who is shy about appearing on television and indeed appears to thrive in doing so. This highlights a narcissistic trait of showcasing. That it may well be the case that she is drawn to the environment of television because of what it provides by way of showcasing her, receiving money, asserting control, drawing fuel. Many narcissistic individuals are drawn to television because of the way that it enables them to achieve the prime aims more effectively. Again, of itself, it doesn't mean that somebody is a narcissist, but a preoccupation with making appearances on television may well support the fact that an individual is a narcissist. One of the major aspects of Rebekah Vardy's behaviour revolves around Colleen Rooney. In 2019, Colleen Rooney, the wife of the footballer Wayne Rooney, suspected that posts from her private Instagram account were being leaked to The Sun, a British tabloid newspaper that regularly publishes celebrity stories. To determine the source, Rooney posted fabricated stories and changed her Instagram settings so they could only be viewed by Rebekah Vardy, the wife of Jamie Vardy. The Sun then published these stories, which included claims that the basement of Rooney's house had flooded, that Rooney had visited Mexico to make a baby girl, and that Rooney had planned to appear on Strictly Come Dancing. In late 2019, Colleen Rooney posted on Twitter the following: "This has been a burden in my life for a few years now, and finally I have got to the bottom of it." She then posted this: "For a few years now, someone who I trusted to follow me on my personal Instagram account has been consistently informing the Sun newspaper of my private posts and stories." Accordingly, Colleen Rooney naturally has an Instagram account, but it's a personal one, and it's only open to a select number of individuals that she trusts. Somebody had been breaching that trust, which suggests a lack of or diminution of emotional empathy, a lack of accountability, a sense of entitlement to share somebody's personal information, and a lack of boundary recognition. Colleen Rooney continued, "There has been so much information given to The Sun about me, my friends and my family, all without my permission or knowledge," which again supports an absence of boundary recognition and a lack of emotional empathy. She continued by stating, "After a long time of trying to figure out who it could be, for various reasons, I had a suspicion. To try and prove this, I came up with an idea. I blocked everyone from viewing my Instagram stories, except one account. Those on my private account must have been wondering why I haven't had stories on there for a while. Over the past 5 months, I've posted a series of false stories to see if they made their way into the Sun newspaper. And you know what? They did. The story about gender selection in Mexico, the story about returning to television, and then the latest story about the basement flooding in my new house. It's been tough keeping it to myself and not making any comment at all, especially when the stories had been leaked. However, I had to. Now, I know for certain which account, individual, it's come from. I have saved and screenshotted all the original stories which clearly show just one person has viewed them. It's Rebekah Vardy's account. Accordingly, a trap was set and sprung, which caught Rebekah Vardy and therefore suggested that she had been acting in a manner which belied her supposed friendship and trust in relation to Colleen Rooney, that she was acting in an entitled manner. Again, such behaviour doesn't necessarily of itself mean that this person is a narcissist, but to behave in a manner whereby you breach someone's trust repeatedly, that you share their personal information and in a way where you know that they're a famous person that would guard such information. And, moreover, you're not just sharing it by talking to a friend about this person, but you're apparently selling it to a national newspaper. All of that demonstrates a complete lack of understanding and sympathy for that person. The tweet went viral, and it was dubbed Wagafor Christie, a portmanteau of the term wag an acronym for Wives and Girlfriends of Professional Athletes, and the name Agatha Christie, a writer of whodunit crime fiction. The term was coined on Twitter by the writer and comedian Dan Atkinson. Vardy responded to Rooney on Twitter, denying the claims, denial, the first line of the narcissistic defence, and implying her Instagram account had been hacked. Blame shifting. Now, it could be that her account had indeed been hacked, and therefore the shifting of the blame was accurate. However, rather than take the matter up personally and privately with Colleen Rooney, the response of Rebekah Vardy to being accused was to respond on Twitter, i.e. in the open, and suggest that it was somebody else that had caused the problem and not her. Thereafter, legal proceedings followed, and interestingly, despite it was the fact that Colleen Rooney had been wronged by alleging that it was Rebekah Vardy that had shared the information, it was Rebekah Vardy who launched legal proceedings, claiming that she had been defamed by Colleen Rooney on Twitter. You might think that she would have sought to resolve the matter with Colleen Rooney privately, discuss it and prove that it wasn't her, and to mend matters, or alternatively, speak to her privately and admit that she had done it and offer an apology and resolve matters away from the public eye. But of course, Rebekah Vardy loves having matters aired in public, and she thus brought a legal case, maintaining that she was the one who'd been done wrong too. Notice that rather than try and address matters with Colleen Rooney, who evidently was the one who'd been wronged, Rebekah Vardy has to make it about her and claim that she's the victim by suggesting that she's been defamed. Whilst this court case was going on, Rebekah Vardy went on Loose Women, again demonstrating her propensity for wanting to air her laundry. As reported, Rebekah Vardy has given her first televised interview about the Colleen Rooney scandal and broke down while discussing the incident on Loose Women. The report at the time stated, "The pair are currently embroiled in a legal battle, so can't speak openly about the situation." But Rebekah appeared on Loose Women earlier today to open up about the vile trolling she had been subjected to. At the time, she was 7 months pregnant when the scandal broke, and she began by telling the panel, "It's really hard because we are in the middle of a legal battle and I really can't say too much at the minute." She then started crying as she added, "It was really, really hard. It's probably up there with one of the worst things that I've had to deal with, apart from being abused by my stepdad when I was younger." Pausing there. The trolling may well have been difficult for her to deal with, but rather than deal with the matter privately, she sees fit to go on to a television show and talk about the fact that she has been trolled, again, seeking a public response to what's happening in her life. She can't talk about the case, but still feels the need to make mention of it by going on television and talking about it, and then equates it to suffering some form of abuse from her stepdad when she was younger. Notice again, Colleen Rooney, who's the one who had been the individual that had suffered a wrong. But once again, Rebekah Vardy instigates legal action, and when she's criticised for doing so and trolled, she goes running to a television programme to cry about it. This gives the air of a pity play, a manipulative move designed to try and nullify the threat to control posed by the trolling by trying to gain sympathy from the audience and viewers. Rebekah Vardy went on to say that she had been on a baby moon in Dubai with her husband, Jamie Vardy, when Colleen posted the tweet. She said, "We were just about to leave to go for dinner, and we were in the taxi, and my manager messaged me and said, 'You need to see this,' and I looked at my phone, and there it was in all its glory. I don't think I was prepared for what was to come." Speaking about the trolling, she said, "It just kind of escalated, really. It was not great. I have to be really careful with what I say. The trolling is the worst part for me and my family. I've been trolled before, but it escalated. This was a whole new level." Prior to this, in June 2020, Vardy commenced action in the English High Court to sue Rooney for defamation. The fact is that in doing so, that may well have been an attempt to assert control over Colleen Rooney and nullify the threat to control posed by the accusation that she was the leaker of information. Defamation and libel cases are often not brought to the High Court. Lawyers regularly advise against taking such cases because of the reputational loss for the complainant is high in risk. At a preliminary High Court hearing on the 19th of November 2020, Mr Justice Warby found Rooney had used defamatory words about Vardy. Neither Rooney nor Vardy were at the court at that time. Vardy argued that the accusation over her Instagram account was false. It was therefore Rooney's onus to prove that Vardy was responsible for leaking stories to The Sun, or to convince the judge that publication of her allegation was in the public interest. Rooney testified that she offered several out-of-court settlements, but evidently they were not acceptable to Rebekah Vardy. The trial commenced on the 10th of May 2022. During the proceedings, Rooney requested documents related to the Sun publisher Newsgroup newspapers and 4 The Sun journalists. The judge, Mrs Justice Steen, allowed Vardy to use written summaries from these journalists as part of the case. The judge also asked for the mobile phones of Vardy and her agent Caroline Watt to be searched. Watt said she had accidentally dropped her phone into the North Sea during a family holiday in Scotland. Vardy's copy of the messages was said to have been lost during a failed backup when Vardy's technology expert forgot the password which he used to encrypt the material. Oh, how unfortunately coincidental that had happened. Rooney's lawyer, David Sherborne, said these were attempts to conceal incriminating evidence. Rooney's lawyers also cited the Armory against Delamere case of 1722, which set a precedent stating that any deliberately missing evidence in a case should be assumed to be of the highest possible value, arguing that this also applies to electronic communications. Rooney alleged Vardy was the source of information for the Sun on Sunday's Secret WAG feature, an anonymous column that discussed the private lives of others. If such an allegation was correct, it would once again demonstrate the nature of Rebekah Vardy, who saw fit to tittle-tattle about the private lives of other people. Sherborne questioned Vardy about her history of leaking information to the tabloid press, quoting from a 2004 interview in which Vardy detailed a sexual encounter with singer Peter Andre. Vardy apologised, saying her former husband had forced her to participate in the interview, blame shifting, and that her words had been misrepresented, blame shifting. The trial ended on the 19th of May 2022. On the 29th of July, Mrs Justice Steen ruled in favour of Rooney. Vardy lost. Steen said that Vardy had regularly passed information about Rooney to the press, which demonstrates a lack of boundary recognition, a sense of entitlement, a lack of accountability for her behaviour, and an absence of emotional empathy for those affected by such behaviour. The judge was critical of missing evidence from Vardy and called her evidence manifestly inconsistent with the contemporaneous documentary evidence, evasive or implausible, which is a polite judicial way of saying she was a liar and she didn't believe what she was saying. And she added that this occurred on many occasions. Steen also said the Sun on Sunday's secret WAG column is highly likely to have been a journalistic construct rather than a person, and that the evidence connecting Ms Vardy to this column is thin. Thus, it would seem that she was unlikely to have been the secret WAG writer. Nevertheless, she was found to have been the individual passing information to the press, and therefore the claim against Colleen Rooney failed. Her assertion that Rebekah Vardy was the person that was passing information was vindicated. Vardy was ordered to pay costs on the indemnity basis. Ordinarily, when somebody loses at court, they will have to pay the winner's cost on what is known as the standard basis. Where it's ordered on the indemnity basis, this suggests that there has been some kind of fault on the part of the paying party with regard to their conduct of the litigation. Rooney's barrister at the subsequent costs hearing described Vardy's claim as probably the most ill-advised legal action since Oscar Wilde put pen to writ. Vardy faced estimated legal costs of approximately £3 million. At a subsequent hearing, Mrs. Justice Steen ordered Vardy to pay 90% of Rooney's costs, with the first instalment assessed at £800,000 to be paid by mid-November 2022. The full amount was expected to be approximately £1.5 million. Vardy's legal costs were estimated to be similar, meaning the libel case may have cost her more than £3 million in total, or as some people have suggested, it's cost Jamie Vardy that. A specialist costs judge, senior costs Judge Andrew Gordon-Saker, began the assessment of the cost case in May 2024. The costs claimed by Rooney totaled £1.833 million. In a 3-day preliminary hearing, the judge found that Rooney's lawyers had not committed misconduct by filing a budget which had lower costs than they were now being claimed. At the end of the costs hearing, Vardy was ordered to pay a further £100,000 on account of costs to Rooney. Now, not only losing the case, but having to be burdened with a substantial cost bill for yourself, but also paying a substantial cost bill for your opponent, would irk anybody. And as I've explained before, that it is often the case that it is narcissists that drive litigation for reasons of their need for control. Most people, where they have a dispute, will seek to resolve it at an early juncture, without it going anywhere near a court. But if you have the misfortune to be involved in litigation in a dispute with a narcissist, that's often very difficult to achieve. This is because of the inherent need for control that the narcissist has, whereby even if you offer something sensible by way of settlement, it's seen through the lens of the narcissist's need for control, so it ends up being rejected. Again, just because something goes all the way to trial doesn't necessarily mean that there is a party that is a narcissist, but it is more frequent than you would actually realise because most people try to resolve matters. After the trial, Vardy said that she was extremely sad and disappointed at the decision, and that she had been the subject of vile abuse since the trial began. Of course, what she's failing to recognise there is that if she hadn't brought the claim, she wouldn't have opened herself up to potential abuse. Once again, she fails to show accountability for her actions. She deflects by talking about the abuse rather than the fact that she has been found to be an individual that has breached another person's trust and leaked information. She ignores her culpability and wants people to feel sorry for her because she's apparently been abused. She told Kate McCann of Talk TV that the media coverage of the case had been sexist and misogynistic. Does it make you think of anybody else who regularly accuses other people of mistreating them on the grounds of misogyny and racism? And she was later said to be experiencing panic attacks and post-traumatic stress as a result of the trial, use of ill health in order to garner sympathy. Nevertheless, although the trial was so traumatic for her and it created panic attacks, in 2023 Vardy trademarked the term Wagatha Christie, demonstrating hypocrisy because if it was so traumatic, why on earth would you trademark the term, and moreover demonstrating the greed of this individual, whereby she's utilising a term that was coined by somebody else, appropriating their asset and using it for herself. In a press statement after the trial, Colleen Rooney said that she was pleased but did not believe the case should have gone to court when the money could have been better spent elsewhere. Rooney subsequently described her experience of the litigation as horrible. She acknowledged that Vardy was obviously going through it as a result of the case, but said she could not understand why Vardy had put herself in that position. Well, Colleen Rooney, if you happen to be listening, this video may well provide you with the answer to help you understand why Rebekah Vardy did what she did. Colleen Rooney also said she would never forgive Vardy. The trial received international media coverage. Helen Lewis, a writer for the American magazine The Atlantic, called the case the most ill-advised defamation case since Oscar Wilde's dispute with the Marquess of Queensberry. Lewis wrote that the trial represented a clash between different ideas of celebrity, with Rooney guarding her privacy and Vardy an avatar of a made-for-Instagram world, in which you are a fool if you do not monetize your personal life. Such behaviour of monetizing your personal life and oversharing is a narcissistic trait. The Guardian newspaper commented that the judgment had left Vardy's reputation in tatters. In October 2023, Colleen Rooney, The Real Wagatha Story, a drama documentary about the story and court case, telling Rooney's side of the story, was released on Disney+. Following this defeat in court and the subsequent costs order, it transpired that Colleen Rooney would be a contestant on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, where she would be set to enter the jungle on the ITV reality series when it returned. Rebekah Vardy had been signed up by The Sun newspaper, who else, to give her thoughts. And in it, she kicked off by stating that she hopes her rival endures the most galling of challenges and is forced to eat bull's penis, ostrich bum, and humble pie. Insult and smearing. Everyone seems to think I have this massive problem with Colleen going into the jungle, she said. But do you know what? If you want to fan the fire, the flames are going to get higher. I wasn't going to carry on talking about this. Yeah, right. I had no intention of talking about it, sure. But she clearly can't let it go. It's something of a mystery as to what Colleen Rooney is not letting go. After all, she hasn't commented further on Rebekah Vardy beyond the thoughts that were given earlier in this video. She's going on I'm a Celebrity. She's not repeatedly talking about Rebekah Vardy, but from somewhere, Rebekah Vardy suggests that Colleen Rooney clearly can't let it go. To my mind, this smacks of projection. It's Rebekah Vardy who can't let it go. That each time Colleen Rooney appears on her radar, it appears to threaten her need for some kind of control, which motivates her to have to comment about her, even though Colleen Rooney has said nothing. That she just appears because she's going to appear on a television show that Rebekah Vardy has gone on before, which necessitates Rebekah Vardy commenting about Colleen Rooney, but also doing so by insulting her. Ms. Vardy said she wondered whether Ms. Rooney will become a fully fledged member of the celebrity circuit on the back of I'm a Celeb, appearing on Dancing on Ice. I think she always wanted my life. She's following in my footsteps, she added. Interestingly, Rebekah Vardy accuses Colleen Rooney of copying her. Well, let's have a quick look at Colleen Rooney. She was Colleen McLaughlin, and she was born in 1986. She married Wayne Rooney in 2008, when she was 22. Shortly around that time, she wrote a celebrity column for Closer, entitled Welcome to My World. So her embracing the celebrity world started in 2008, at the time of when she married Wayne Rooney. Rebekah Vardy is 4 years older than Colleen Rooney, being born in 1982. She married Mark Godden in 2001 and was divorced in 2003. She married Steve Clark in 2005 and was divorced in 2006. She married Jamie Vardy in 2016. In 2008, when Colleen Rooney married Wayne Rooney and started writing for Closer magazine, Rebekah Vardy was unheard of. She wasn't famous. Indeed, it wasn't until 6 years later that she met Jamie Vardy and fell pregnant with their first child. It wasn't until 2016, some 8 years after Colleen Rooney married Wayne Rooney, that she married Jamie Vardy and started to become of greater prominence in the celebrity world. So this meant between 2008 and 2014 at least, and more likely 2008 and 2016, Colleen Rooney didn't know who Rebekah Vardy was. What was she doing in that time? Well, Rooney began presenting in May 2006 when she assisted Sir Trevor McDonald on his show Tonight with Trevor McDonald. She then went on to make her own TV series for ITV called Colleen's Real Women, in which she was labelled as the nation's favourite girl next door, and she looked for real women to front advertising campaigns as alternative to models. In 2005, she sold an exercise DVD entitled Colleen McLaughlin's Brand New Body Workout, which became a bestseller. She was paid £3 million to front the Georgia Asda campaign. In June 2010, she struck a deal with retail and gambling company Littlewoods. Her autobiography, Welcome to My World, was released in March 2007. She also published a 4-book series called Colleen Style Queen from 2008 to 2010. Accordingly, whilst, of course, she had gained prominence as a consequence of her marriage to Wayne Rooney, she was striking out on her own with exercise DVDs, books, promotional deals, and fronting campaigns for supermarket campaigns. Therefore, to suggest that she was copying Rebekah Vardy at this stage, when Vardy was unheard of, is quite frankly preposterous and doesn't bear up on the facts. Accordingly, to suggest that Colleen Rooney always wanted Rebekah Vardy's life is not supported by the facts and suggests that it's blatant projection on the part of Rebekah Vardy. For instance, just recently, ahead of Colleen Rooney going on I'm a Celebrity, Rebekah Vardy arrived at Stansted Airport in matching travel outfits with Jamie Vardy. She was heading off to Dubai. She was photographed, all smiles, but, as reported, her smiles were likely to be short-lived as ITV announced that they've bought the rights to Disney's Wagatha Christie documentary, which they will be screening, despite Vardy trademarking the term Wagatha Christie. Therefore, their use of it, and using that name, would naturally annoy her. Vardy hit back at claims that she whisked away on a week-long holiday to avoid Colleen Rooney on television in a recent Instagram story before her flight. Sharing a picture from her first-class seat, she captioned her post, "Fleeing the country, laughing emoji." This, of course, is her sustained use of social media and would, to my mind, be done as a consequence of people suggesting that she was indeed fleeing the country and therefore she has to make light of it. Potential nullification of threat to control. It was reported that a source revealed that Rebekah Vardy is dreading having the Wagatha Christie saga brought back to public scrutiny because of Colleen's stint in the jungle, threat to control, and wants to be as far away from her TV as possible, nullification of threat to control by withdrawal. An insider told Mail Online, Jamie's whisking Becky away for a week to Dubai during the I'm a Celeb launch. The last thing she wants is to turn on her TV to see Colleen, and the prospect of Ant and Dec making light of their painful court case fills her with dread. While it has been reported that Rebekah is declining to watch Colleen on the ITV show, it is believed her team of lawyers will be on high alert and ready to take action if her arch-enemy says anything derogatory about her on air. Interesting. You would think that she clearly can't let it go. Oh, but hang on, wasn't that meant to be Colleen Rooney who was behaving that way? Again, smacks of projection. It was further reported, this time in OK magazine, that she uploaded a mesmerising video where she's seen flaunting her curves in a stunning black dress featuring a daring thigh-high slit as she sashayed down a glamorously lit corridor, yet more showcasing. Apparently, she captivated fans with her long, wavy brunette locks and film star poise, yet it wasn't only her beauty that caught attention. After sharing the video, adorned with a cryptic caption highlighting her personal boundaries, she wrote, "I get to decide my boundaries, but you certainly don't get to decide my limits," added with a lips emoji, showcasing once again. She then encountered mixed reactions in her comment section. While one admirer expressed love for Rebekah's straightforward attitude, the wag quit back, "So over crazy people. Honestly, they think they know my life better than I do." However, not all comments were as favourable. But any negative remarks didn't stay up for long, i.e. it would appear that someone would have been engaging in some rage scrolling, deleting the comments, which would seem to my mind to be a nullification of a threat to control. Even though a less than impressed commenter quickly removed their harsh words, Vardy made sure her first response stayed visible for all to see, expressing her frustration with an unapologetic, "Oh, give me strength, I am so bored now, just piss off, will you?" insult. After her departure to Dubai, she returned just in time to see Colleen Rooney break her silence in relation to the Agatha Christie drama on I'm a Celebrity. She returned, and despite claiming that it's Colleen Rooney who is the one that won't let it go, she immediately, Vardy that is, addressed some of the jokes about her on the show. Declan Donnelly opened the first show of the series saying, "Of course, we've got Colleen Rooney. It'll be nice for Colleen to face a trial that doesn't involve Rebekah Vardy." And McPartlin alongside him added, "Well, hey." But Rebekah didn't hold back in a video she recorded, saying the pair weren't squeaky clean and criticising their scripts. Sporting a jungle hat in a clip recorded for The Sun, Becky said, "So apart from lame jokes from Ant and Dec, who have also had their fair share of scandals in the past, Easy Tigers, who writes their scripts anyway, it's been a fantastic episode. Did I mention Colleen sank her boat twice? Oh dear." Thus it would appear that having the piss taken out of her by the hosts didn't sit well with her and may well have threatened her need for control, necessitating her responding in a video and at the same time smearing Colleen Rooney. After the joke was made, Vardy uploaded a throwback snap of herself relaxing in a bikini with the caption, "That feeling when you are living rent-free in people's heads," laughing emojis. Seems to me again that she repeatedly returns to social media as a means to nullify the potential threat to control. She also then shared a pointed clip of US President Donald Trump talking about facing hate. She posted a video of Mr. Trump that said, "Let them doubt you, let them criticize you, because the more they throw at you, the stronger you become. The path to success is never without resistance and hate. Hate is just a part of that journey. Understand this, no one who ever achieved anything great did it without facing opposition. Hate comes from a place of fear, insecurity and jealousy. People hate because your ambition, your drive makes them uncomfortable. Your desire to push past limits threatens the comfort they built around mediocrity. So what should you do? Let them hate. Let their word be nothing more than background noise. You weren't put here to see their approval." Now, Rebekah Vardy, rather than staying quiet whilst Colleen Rooney is in the jungle, can't help herself but keep posting on social media and expressing her opinion in the Sun newspaper. She keeps popping up. It's like she can't stay quiet. And then, after criticising Colleen Rooney, she has now heaped praise on her wag rival. This follows reporting in the Daily Mail that states Rebekah Vardy has surprisingly heaped praise on her wag rival Colleen Rooney after she smashed her epic bush tucker trial on I'm a Celebrity. Since Colleen entered the jungle earlier this month, Rebekah has made no secret of what she thinks about her nemesis, branding her dull, smearing, while also wanting her to eat Bull's penis. However, in a dramatic U-turn, the wag has now commended Colleen for her efforts in her absolute carnage trial with Dean McCulloch, in which she kept her cool while covered in cockroaches and rats. Writing in her The Sun column, Rebekah, who was locked in the infamous Agatha Christie trial with Colleen in 2022, penned, "It's blowing a gale at home, but there's definitely a rumble in the jungle. Luckily, it's not in the campmates' stomachs, as Teabag Dean had Colleen with him for absolute carnage, and they managed to get 9 stars. I'm applauding Colleen. She really held her nerve as the mealworms, cockroaches and rats crawled all over her." Her words are a far cry from her previous comments about Wayne Rooney's wife, with the former jungle campmate noting that Colleen was coming across as dull, while previously expressing her hopes that she was forced to eat penis or humble pie. So what's caused Rebekah Vardy to suddenly do this volte-face, to go from painting Colleen Rooney in a black manner to now talking about her favourably? It's likely that this is the response as a consequence of Rebekah Vardy facing a heap of criticism across social media for her behaviour. And therefore, because she has no fixed view of somebody, it turns on an instant, that it's likely that what she's now done is decide, well, I'll need to praise Colleen in order to try and get people off my back, i.e., it's not genuine, it's done for her own self-serving purposes. Thus, this is a potted history so far of Rebekah Vardy with regard to her behaviours, and it shows plenty with regard to many narcissistic indicators. It shows that she regularly takes to social media and the mainstream media to air her grievances, to complain about her lot in life, despite being married to a Premiership footballer who is very wealthy. It shows that she has had a haphazard set of relationships, having children by various men and doing so at an early stage. It shows that previously she's had a number of relationships that have not lasted very long. It shows that she regularly engages in projection and appears to have utilised litigation as a means of trying to nullify a threat to control when she was found out, something proven in court, to have breached somebody's trust by leaking information about them, private information, to a national newspaper. It all starts to paint a picture, doesn't it? Well, in the next video, we're going to analyse some video clips of Rebekah Vardy before addressing the conclusion of what is her problem. Join me there.